So stop me if you've heard this before, but actually don't, because it absolutely needs to be said again. Food banks are really struggling to meet the needs of the community. In fact, they can't meet the needs of the community. It's gotten that bad. It is a crisis. Executive Director of the Depot Community Food Center, Tasha Lackman, wrote an op-ed in the Gazette saying as much. For the first time since the depot opened in 1986, they've been forced to turn people away. Tasha Lackman joins us again now. Thanks for your time again today, Tasha.
Hi, Natasha. Nice to talk to you.
So when we last spoke, and I hate to admit I don't remember when that was, but pretty much every time we've spoken, it's because things have been bad, and clearly it's gotten even worse, if that's possible. So give us a picture of the situation and what that really means for those who you have to turn away.
Yeah, the situation is absolutely dire. Last time we spoke, I think, was in October, and we had started turning people away kind of around September, when we were just hitting our max. Over the summer, when we'd been working on our budgets and stuff, we had set a maximum number of people that we could see based on all of the resources we had. And then we adjusted those to cut the amount of food we were giving to people, but to be able to see more people. And then even with those adjusted numbers, by the fall, we weren't able to accommodate the needs. And now what we've had to decide to do is not only are we turning people away, but we're not accepting any new registrations. So we're putting any new people who are trying to access our emergency food services on a waiting list, and not giving them any services around food bank. So that means that they're leaving empty-handed. And the worst of it is there's really nowhere else to send them.
That's what exactly what I was going to ask. What happens next to them? Did they don't just go somewhere else because everybody's in the same situation?
Pretty much. I
Oof.
know that there are some food banks maybe that have a few more resources that are able to accommodate, but pretty much what I'm hearing across the board is every single food bank in our city, in some way or another, is their demand is increasing. For us, it's doubled. I know for Mission Bon Accueil, it's doubled as well. For Multicaf, it's doubled as well. So for many of us, it's doubling, and we're all trying to figure out what we do. So, I just heard another organization said, well, now they're charging people for milk and eggs, which used to be free. We're saying, okay, well, we don't want to do that, but we can't keep having more and more people through the food bank because we don't have enough hours in the day. So for us, there's a budgetary issue, but there's just also a capacity issue. Every person that comes through requires not only to go through our food bank, but time and energy and resources to process them and to talk to them and to see what other services they need and to connect them. And we can't do that anymore with the team and the hours that we have in place. Not to mention our food budget.
I want to ask the question you referred to, but you said you have budgetary constraints as well. I know the government provincially has talked about it because more money has been asked for by organizations across the province. What about the city itself? Could the city be doing more?
I think this is really a provincial jurisdiction. I think every level of government needs to be involved in these solutions. But, I think more and more is being asked of municipal governments without more resources being transferred to them. We're really lucky in our borough in NDG, Côte-des-Neiges. We have an amazing relationship with our borough city councilors and mayor and the administration. And they actually did something unprecedented for us I'm trying to think of the timeline. I guess in the fall, they unblocked $200,000 a year for the next 2 years for us and for Multicaf.
Oh, good.
Really to buy groceries, to buy food for the residents, and that's in line with their strategic plan. But that's a huge, huge grant. That's not part of a program, that's not part of something specific that they've freed up for us. So we're lucky in that regard. But, for us, our part of that is $75,000 a year for 2 years, and we spend $60,000 every month on food for the community. So
Right.
it's a drop in the bucket.
So even
The
though
order of magnitude that we need is the money that can come from the provincial and federal level.
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of ended up being a bit of a perfect storm, hasn't it? Like, I'm just thinking, what's it going to take to change this? And yes, money for sure. But also, as you're saying, like the rising cost of food means that more people can't afford their own groceries, which results in more people needing your services. So like a few things have to change here.
Yeah, well, we really need systemic solutions to this, we know that, the best solution is that people have enough money in their pockets to afford their groceries. And when we have, as you say, a perfect storm with an affordability crisis, with housing costs on the rise, the first place that people cut is groceries. So really, we need bigger solutions like increased minimum wage, increased disability benefits, increased unemployment benefits. All of those kinds of solutions that actually create an income floor that nobody can fall below, so that they can meet their own needs. It's expensive for organizations like ours to provide food baskets and all of these other things. So we'd rather see money in people's pockets. And then we could be a community organization that does all the other things we already do, but we could focus on building community, building long-term health outcomes, breaking social isolation, being a place where we're doing cooking workshops and gardening, which all of those things we already do. But we'd love to be doing more of that and less of putting a Band-Aid on a spurting artery.
As I hear you say that, I can't help think back rather to what others have told us with respect to just how dire the word you used at the beginning is, the situation, because forget about people on unemployment insurance or disability benefits. And I say forget about it. I want to deal with people who are out there who actually have jobs and are making money, who I understand are now finding themselves going to food banks. Have you seen that before?
The numbers in Canada are about that 10% of food bank users have employment income. So there's always been people who are working who have used our food banks. I don't know exactly what the numbers are right now, because we track that to some extent, but not not à la minute, so to speak.
Yeah.
We ask those questions, when we do surveys about annually, and so I don't know, but certainly anecdotally, we are seeing more and more people who have employment income, who are working and just can't make ends meet. So we do need to think about that too. And we also know, when we do research, that folks between 18 and 64, working age people, are actually among the poorest in our country. They're the ones who, if they're living alone, they're single and working age, those people really can't make ends meet. And that's what we see too in our food bank. A lot of people, we see a lot of families for sure, but also a lot of people who are on their own, who have to cover their rent and their hydro and all their expenses on their own. Those people are often the ones who are also coming to get help, whether they're working or not.
And it's happening rapidly too. We've talked a lot about how the face of homelessness has changed. The face of hunger is changing too at a rapid pace. I'm just wondering, for you personally, doing the work that you do, and it's so important, and I know you to be such a positive person, how do you remain optimistic in such a difficult situation?
Yeah, we have to remain hopeful, because if we're not hopeful, then we can just want to crawl up under a rug and not come out. We have to remain hopeful that the media attention that we're getting now is going to drum up, for sure, hopefully, meetings with ministers and government to talk about bigger solutions, but also private money to get us through until then. We know the other thing is that even though there's people we're turning away, the Depot and so many other organizations in Montreal like us are incredible places, and we go far beyond, just feeding people. We're nourishing people. If you come into our space, sometimes there's volunteers playing live music, and there's kids running around, and adults, and, people of all stripes eating and sharing meals together, and it really has a community feeling. And so on my days when I'm feeling frustrated and dejected, if I, go into the program space and sit and have a meal, and, people are smiling, and they're in different stages of crisis and frustration with the system and with everything, but they're also finding a moment to smile and lend a hand, and I think that's really what gives me hope, because we are, even through the adversity, we're building community, we're teaching people new skills, people are tasting new foods. They're learning how to cook on budgets. Those aren't the big solutions, but they are building the fabric of our community, which in the long term will serve us all.
Will feed us all, yeah, in every way possible. I'm just going to let people know, if you feel so compelled, if you're hearing what Tasha's saying, and maybe you want to help out either with your time or any financial means that you may have to help. The website is depotmtl.org. Any other information that you'd like to give out, Tasha, while we have a moment?
Thanks so much. No, we need to keep rallying as a community. We rely on you. I've been signing thank you notes after our holiday campaign, and it is incredible to see how the community has already mobilized to support this organization, and I know other organizations across the city, and we hope that everyone continues their generosity as we really try and come together to mobilize for more government support.
Excellent.
You said Depot MTL?
Yes.
depotmtl.com.
.org.
.org. Whatever, however you can help. Tasha, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Keep up the amazing work.
Thank you both.